Welcome to AAPC Social Hour for June 28th, 2023. I am AAPC Alex, and thanks for joining us today. We have 2 people watching so far. 3. Oh, it's growing. Our crowd's growing, you guys.
And there's one of those.
Yeah.
Go on.
Some days I'm like, I think it just might be me and whoever's with me on video, but we have our friends that keep coming back, like Natasha Timberlake. Hey, Natasha, thanks for joining us. I met Natasha for the first time. I believe it was the first time we met Natasha in Nashville.
Oh,
She's an amazing human.
Did you ask her if she can dance?
Like line dance?
Like Justin.
Oh, Timberlake, yeah. I got there you go. Marty, pop culture reference.
Yeah, that's probably the only pop culture I know.
that was very good. I certainly didn't get it.
I didn't either.
Natasha, you have to answer that question.
He probably gets that question all the time.
Yes. Yeah. So how's your brother doing, Natasha? You get to go to concerts and all that. Louise Sessions, thanks for joining us. Keisha Cheeks, good to see you. Maisha, Mo, thanks for being with us. Carlita Johnson, I've thought about Carlita from sunny Las Vegas, as she always puts it. Carlita, our national conference next year is in your neck of the woods. Yep. Oh, let's see. I've got this. I saved it from Nashville. I got it in Nashville. Yeah. So yeah, hope to see you all in Las Vegas. Let's see if it has a date on here. Yep.
Everybody wants to go to Vegas, don't they?
Yeah, I'm ready.
There's a lot to do there.
Yeah, it is.
April 14th through 17th, 80 plus sessions, 65 plus speakers, up to 18 CEUs. Anyways,
That's
love
amazing.
to see you guys there. That's a lot of content,
It's
you guys.
amazing. It always comes together. I mean, just think about what we just did in Nashville. So much education. We had general sessions, panels, show, everything. I mean,
Line dancing.
Line dancing. I mean, it didn't stop. I mean, it was nonstop. It was so fun. And we got educated. So you can't complain about that.
And that's the main thing we hope.
Yeah, it is.
Well, fun, maybe
network, seeing everybody.
Networking.
Oh my gosh.
Networking is so important.
It is.
To me.
And I thought the education was particularly spot on and high quality this time. Really, really good.
We're working
Well,
very
thank you,
hard on the
Linda.
education committee.
Jackie and I appreciate those comments.
And I appreciate you.
Fabulous.
Linda,
Hey.
I'll go back a couple of years.
Yes, we do.
For Carlita, I've had some thoughts about how we could share what's going on in Las Vegas around that time. Maybe we can have you prior to conference share some of your favorite things about your neck of the woods. Maybe like insider secrets about what we should check out. Maybe that's not on the strip or just around the area. So anyways, I'll reach out to you sometime, Carlita, and maybe we can talk about that. Okay, well, we have a great panel with us. We're celebrating AAPC's 35th birthday.
Happy birthday!
And we have Jackie Caprios with us, who is a former National Advisory Board president, and just all of you are just great people and great friends. But Jackie, how are you?
I'm doing dandy keen. Just had a birthday. Was in Vegas. Can't complain. Found some new places to go. Just having fun, enjoying life. I have no complaints whatsoever. And seeing these lovely people here is just fabulous. I so appreciate the invitation, Alex. I mean that from my heart. It's so fun to do these.
It's always great to have you on. The weird thing about AAPC's 35th birthday is it's your 35th birthday too. That is such a great coincidence.
35 cubed, you know.
Not even squared, cubed.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew when I was 35 what I know now.
Oh, man.
That's-
Wouldn't that be amazing? I'd probably be retired by now if I did. I know,
Well,
but it's fabulous. And I've enjoyed all the years with AAPC. And I know we're going to talk about that, but I truly have. It's been an incredible ride.
right. Awesome. Sharon Oliver, who many of you watching may have seen speak at a conference. She's just A+
Amazing.
educator. Yes. Sharon, how are you?
I'm doing great. I just got in from work and got my sandwich. I'm ready to go. Now you're almost dipping into nap time, Alex.
No.
Dodged a bullet there.
I go around work, I said, it's nap time. Everybody, yeah, it is. Or Dairy Queen, one of the two.
Well, I think many of our members are on their lunch breaks now. So you had a sandwich. I think if you're watching, let us know what your lunch is. We can compare lunches, you know.
Depends on your time zone, Alex. I just wrapped up breakfast.
Yeah, I'm still working on that second cup of coffee.
Me too.
Oh.
We're still in the coffee phase.
Okay.
Well, I'm on the East Coast, so I'm heading towards
Sandwiching.
the umbrella drink at 5 o'clock. So.
Sharon's
Yeah,
got one
Heather's there.
foot, one toe in the pool.
You got it. You got it.
Well, we also
It's right out that window.
we have Linda Hallstrom with us. Linda, you'll have to remind me. I know you've been on the National Advisory Board.
Actually, on the AAPCCA BOD.
Okay, the
I have
BOD.
not been on the National Advisory Board.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your, because I know we've known each other for many years now, and give us a little bit of information about your background.
So I kind of came to coding a little bit late in my career. Now I'm going to say that, and you're going to start adding the years and figure out how old I am. But I've been in healthcare for most of my career, and I was being a practice manager for one of the first hospitalist groups. And I actually had to hire a coder to do some of the coding, and I was just fascinated by it. I really, really was. So within a couple of years, I got my certification, and it's just been, try to hold me back since then. And I love learning. I think, Sharon, you and I talked, we closed a couple of restaurants here in Dallas.
Yes, we did.
I just love learning. And what's so cool about the coding is it's always changing, and there's always things to learn and always new directions to go. So my path has been E&M, auditing, and CD, EO, credentialing, and instructing. And I never thought I was a teacher, but I love it. I taught 2 classes yesterday, one at 5 o'clock in the morning and one at 6 o'clock at night. I subbed for someone. But you know how that goes, right, Jackie?
Do what you do.
Yeah.
And I really, really love it. I love working with providers. I love working with students. I'm with a large healthcare organization right now and with a medical group. And it's never a dull moment. You can have your day planned out, and 2 emails later, you're off on some different direction. So love it. But back to my AAPC experience, I was invited to be on the original AAPCCA board of directors. I was on the inaugural group, and boy, we had our work cut out for us, didn't we, Marty? So many opportunities and things to work on, but that was the beginning of my step up in leadership in the AAPC.
Okay, awesome. Linda, we're going to dig into that history in just a little bit. So
I knew I was brought on to be the old timer, so I got it.
Oh, no.
No.
I got you. I got you.
Well, I'd like to introduce Heather Green, who this is her first time with us on Social Hour. And Heather, I don't know if we've met before.
We've met very briefly. Actually, you helped me with getting my photo taken.
Oh, awesome.
Nashville.
Great. Awesome. Well, welcome to Social Hour. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is at AAPC.
So I guess I'm the newbie, because I've been with AAPC as a employee now for less than 6 months. But I have been a member for a long time. For a long time, I'm gonna do that. Also, I've done contract work with AAPC for a number of years, on and off, and so I have enjoyed. I can see as a member, or I know as a member, what it's like, and seeing everything that AAPC does for us. But now I'm on the inside, and I'm seeing how literally every individual works for the members, and that's truly our culture. And it's absolutely fantastic. I just don't have bad days working at AAPC. It's fantastic. We're always making that step to help somebody, even if it's a little step. Somewhere every day we get to help somebody move forward, and it's a blessing.
I love it.
I enjoy it immensely.
Man, you should be our spokesperson, Heather. Jeez, that's great. I love it. And I agree. Like, I love what we do, and I love the people I work with, not just staff, but Jackie, Sherry, and Linda, to be able to be part of their lives and their journeys and all of our members' journeys. It's just an awesome thing. And then we've got Marty with us. Are you president of the local chapters? What, or worldwide leader of chapters? What's your title, Marty?
Well, right now I'm over the local chapters, just working with all the officers, and have been doing that forever. I think I have the best job at AAPC. Really, I do. I know, Heather, we want to like have a pinky war about that or something. Or what is it, an arm wrestle? I don't know. But anyway, I've worked with all these, Jackie, Sharon, and Linda before, and that's just, the officers are the best. The grassroots is the heart of AAPC, and the grassroots happenings are in the local chapters, and all three of these people here, these ladies here, have been involved with that. And so I feel like I've got the best job at AAPC.
And you do a phenomenal job, Marty. Just incredible.
Yes.
I've been an officer so many times, and you have just stepped up and been such a resource and support. It's phenomenal.
Ditto on
for
that.
saying
Marty
that.
is a
Thank
wonderful leader for all of us. Cool and calm.
Yes.
Yes.
Sharon, did you
Exactly.
really want to do that, Sharon? Okay, all right.
Right.
Well, Marty, whenever we have a celebration like this, the whole team's like, we need to talk to Marty. And then pictures kind of arrive with Marty with like her Jennifer Aniston haircut or whatever. But it's fun to see that, and you have many stories that we'll talk about shortly here. But first, I just want to say hey to everybody who's jumping in: Brenda Wynn, Eastern North Carolina; Lori Johnson from Arkansas; Mon Liz from Connecticut; Melissa Batzel from Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, maybe we can answer this. Brenda Wynn's asking, I just earned the CPC and want to know what credential is best to go for next. Think about that. I'll come back to our panel here. But the real important thing is I asked about lunch. And Kim Thrasher, who I think she said above in the comments that she's from Southern California. She's on Jackie time. And she says, no clue. It's only 10 a.m. Sounds like a good time for brunch.
Right.
Yep.
Linda Wright, teriyaki chicken meatball salad. We got some pizza. It's all over the board. It's a smorgasbord. I wish we could have lunch together. We can have lunch together in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Yes, for our
be
regional
there.
conference coming up.
I will be there.
Okay. That's about 40 days away. Heather is involved with a few of our boutique conferences that are coming up. Heather, tell us a little bit about those. Let's see. Well, first we have the Collaborative Compliance Conference, August 28th and 29th, and then DocuCon on September 19th and 20th. Heather's a part of both of those. Heather, what do you know? What can you share with us about? Let's just start with the Collaborative Compliance Conference.
So attending this is going to be those folks who are very interested in the compliance portion of it. And we all know, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, that compliance is really the groundwork that makes any hospital or practice successful. If you think about those organizations that are truly successful, large, compliance is in their everyday life. They talk about it constantly. Not only do they talk that talk, they walk that walk. So for us as individuals, and what can we do to help our environment, we need to understand as coders, as healthcare professionals, what do we need to understand and do and act each day, and in each chart. What can we do? What can't we do? Are we making sure that we're taking the information that is in those documents, pulling it out, reporting it correctly, and then ensuring that we're reimbursed correctly? That is what's going to be the best for our practice, our hospital, our facility, wherever you may work. So attending that is going to help you see what's new, what's coming out, what may be changing. Is the pendulum swinging? It tends to swing back and forth. Where are we at in that compliance walk? So it's a great way to catch up and see what's going on. There are going to be 14 sessions, I believe, in that. I think you said that. So it's going to be a great one. Me particularly, in actually both this and DocuCon, I will be talking about the opioid crisis and documentation, and looking at, what do you need to understand from a compliance standpoint? And then, in the documentation and DocuCon, what about the documentation? What is in there? What do we need to satisfy the clinical aspects? Also ensuring that we have continuity of care for the patient. And then what do we need to make sure that we're being reimbursed appropriately for the services that we provide? So both of those together will give you a huge or very wide view of things that are necessary for us to be doing, what we can be on the lookout for. And for those things we can't correct, we know to send those forward to somebody else who can.
Okay, wonderful. Heather, I'm curious because you're speaking about the opioid crisis, and oftentimes we present on things that affect us and that maybe we have a deep interest in, obviously. What pulled you towards that?
So part of my background is I am inpatient. That's what I mostly work for with AAPC right now. And behavioral health is my background. But in the opioid crisis and what we're watching it, I'm in Kentucky. And I'm sure this is across the states everywhere now. But I don't know a family who hasn't been affected by the opioid crisis, especially Oxycontin. And so watching families try to pull themselves together. And then, of course, on top of that, then that super bug thing came, we don't want to talk about it. And that just added to the emotional distress and actually upped what the substance abuses were going to be. So these patients, when they get into this situation, they're truly an at-risk population. And so documentation is really important for them, not just us and getting reimbursed. It's for them because sometimes they're not able to tell the next physician what was done. If they had inpatient care, they may not be able to tell their outpatient therapist what really happened in there. And so if that documentation is vague, unclear, absent, then they just have to start all over again with the patient. And that's truly unfortunate. So again, that continuity of care and taking care of that patient, bringing them forward is extremely important for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, it is a crisis. Absolutely. Jackie, Sharon, Linda, are any of you involved with any of these boutique conferences, the Collaborative Care Conference or the is DocuCon? Yeah.
I'm DocuCon and AuditCon.
Okay.
I'm doing DocuCon, the progression for cardiology. I'm doing a cardiology
Yep.
talk
Okay.
on DocuCon.
Okay.
And I'm
Sharon,
speaking in Washington also.
all right. Well, tell us a little bit about Sharon. Would you tell us a little bit about your presentation? Give us a little summary of your DocuCon presentation.
Okay, well, the DocuCon, I kind of did a similar thing a couple of years ago. I've been speaking at HealthCon now for several years and a few of the regionals. And I've even had doctors take pieces of my presentation to put into kind of their work. So I was very complimented on that. And what it is we start at one thing. So we start as, okay, our blood pressure is a little high. Why? What are we going to do about it? If we don't treat it, where are we going to go to from there? How far down is our body going to deteriorate by not doing anything with it? And so the documentation to support the different procedures that are done in cardiology and I will show the evolution, so to speak, from one cardiomyopathy to whatever, all the way down through until close to the end, to where it's kidney disease and such. So how the whole body can be affected by just starting one point.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Jackie, what will you be presenting on at, are you doing both or just DocuCon?
Not the collaborative, I'm doing DocuCon and AuditCon.
Okay,
So AuditCon is the first week of November. Yeah.
okay. How about DocuCon? What do you have going on there?
Gosh, I really wish I could remember. I was actually looking through my emails just now.
Hurry.
But I do remember one. I'm speaking twice, I think, if not 3 times. And on one of them, it was great fun, and we're doing it again. Colleen, the current president of the advisory board, and I did a group. We did a team presentation in Nashville, and she's very heavy on the risk adjustment side, and I'm pro-fee and a lot of E&M. So we're talking about if providers could get more comfortable with the status of their chronic conditions, it's going to satisfy both the E&M levels as well as the risk adjustment side. So we were pulling both of these concepts together and showing examples how it could work for both. So I know we're repeating that. And I know that at both DocuCon and AuditCon in general, we are really starting to slice and dice these documentation guidelines. We're looking at them from a lot of different angles, and we have some incredible speakers, and we're really trying to take them apart now that we've been using them for a while and really look at what are the challenges. We've really looked at that, and we've added a lot of risk adjustment as well. And I will say for AuditCon, we still have our basic line as well. And we have some new topics. In fact, this year for AuditCon, we're going to talk about, for those who I know struggle with this, for individuals who are thinking about leaving their comfort zone of a one practice and auditing, going into the world of consulting, and what's it like when you get there. So we even have that coming up. We've got a lot of great, we work really hard on the education committee, but we have some incredible things coming up, and I love these boutique conferences to allow for that.
I love that.
Jackie,
Great.
I actually went to your and Colleen's session
You
in
did.
Nashville, and it was wonderful because, and
thank you.
it really hit home because in where I'm working, we're currently initiating a focus on the HCC risk adjustment coding. And there is this struggle,
Yes.
this back and forth, and y'all did a wonderful job. That was such an awesome session. So I would recommend that to anyone who's struggling or working, not just struggling, working in that situation with E&M and HCC, because that was a phenomenal presentation. Y'all played off each other so well.
We did. It was Colleen's idea, and she was kind enough to invite me to be the other half of it. And we had a blast. So we'll be repeating that.
Good.
But definitely some of these agendas are coming up soon, but incredible stuff. Just really, we do our best to really branch out on these topics. Really, and the collaborative conference is so nice because it's with the Health Lawyers Association as well. So you start bringing in a lot of the legal that sometimes we forget about, which is great. And of course, that there are the DocuCon and AuditCon, we will be having Michael Misko, because what's a conference without a little
can't, yeah.
Misko in there? You know, you got to have that.
Yes, yes. Hey, Brenda Wynn asks, I don't know if anybody on our panel here knows, but Brenda Wynn asks, will speech recognition technology be discussed at DocuCon?
We are doing some of it with AI.
Okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
leave that because I don't remember the details, but I do know that we recognize the need to really start embracing that idea. And it may even be a panel. That's right. We're doing a panel on burnout too.
Yeah.
Who does that? Ooh,
You know nothing about that, Jackie.
unheard of.
Well, I dropped links to both conferences in the chat for DocuCon and the Collaborative Compliance Conference, so check those out. Heather, I don't know what your schedule is like, but you're more than welcome to stay another half an hour with us if you'd like.
I'm happy to stay on. It's completely up to
Oh,
you.
good.
Okay.
Or I can bow out. I
Nope.
do want to make a shout out very quickly though. I am looking for, one of the things I get to do is work with SMEs and contracting like I used to do. And so we are looking for inpatient SMEs. If you're interested in doing, a couple of hours of work, maybe a week or two, if you could reach out to me or Craig Larson, you can put something in the chat box and we'll reach out to you. But we are definitely looking for that inpatient SME who can help us out.
That's great.
Yeah. So anybody know anybody, send them my way.
Okay.
And Alex,
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time, but I would love to go back to that question for that newly certified CPC.
Yes,
and
thank you.
what they think the next credential should be.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Okay.
Yes.
May I start?
Yeah. Yes, you may.
So not everybody will agree with me, but I'm gonna say nothing right now. You don't need another credential right now. You need to hone your skills. You need to get comfortable being a CPC. You need to get comfortable with your books, and especially if you're brand new. Now, if you've been working forever and just decided to get your CPC and just did it, that's one thing. But if you're really new, hone in. Who knows what your next one is? You got to find out what it is you want to do, unless it's something, an area you're working in now, and you want to hone that one skill, then go for that specialty. But it's really difficult to jump into a new area until you've really got your feet wet with that CPC. And I think a lot of people now aren't giving it the credit it deserves. The CPC is a fabulous credential and it can take you many places. You don't need another one right away. And I'm not saying this to dishearten anyone. I'm saying it so that you appreciate what you have. And there's a lot of, start going to anything that you can, even the social hour, to learn about other stuff. Go to your chapter meetings, find out what it is you want to do, because it wouldn't make a piece of difference for me to tell you what my next credential was, because it was a while before I got it, because that was my path. You've got to figure out your path, and it is so important to do that. Don't wear yourself out getting credentials and getting CEUs for things you're not interested in. And I'm not saying that through credentials. Then when you decide, look at all the ones you have to choose from. They're incredible and they're wonderful. The curriculums are great and they'll be worth the wait to get there. That's just my soapbox.
Well, I tell my students that, and I've taught many over the years, that where do you want to be 5 years from now? Now, when you decide, and you may change your mind on their way to that 5 years, go for it. What do you need to do to be there? And honing the skills, Jackie, I can't even, kudos for you for even bringing that up. Just because you pass the exam does not mean you know the material. Not till you get out there and work in it. Yeah, you studied, and I'm not taking anything away from that, because I was 56 when I got my CPC. So I was already at the end grandmother stage when I did it. And it's just so important to get your pathway, and it will take you not overnight. This is not an overnight thing at all. And the beauty of it is you don't ever have to stop. Like, I'm 76 now. I'm 76 years old. I see no end to my future. You know, I was talking with someone yesterday. I said, where you want to be 5 years? I said, now I'll be 81, so I may be dead by the time y'all decide what you want to do from now on. But
Don't
I'll be
even say
81
that.
years. But it just doesn't
sorry.
stop. And like, come out of your box. And HealthCon and regionals are the perfect place, because now you can go into an OBGYN session, or you can go into an orthopedic session. You got all these different sessions that you can go to kind of get a basic on what that specialty is and decide maybe that would be for me. So
I really echo what Sharon's saying. You kind of have to marinate for a while, you know, and getting that CPC is a huge accomplishment, but we all know that there is so much depth that we just don't have because there's so much breadth to the exam. I was 3 years before I got my first specialty credential. And that was in E&M. And that's because in those 3 years, I knew that I loved E&M coding, even though when I was in class, that had me so frustrated that I was in tears a couple of nights. But I love E&M. But it took me 3 years to learn that. And then I was ready. To go on. But you do have to kind of marinate and explore and grow and mature in your knowledge and your experience.
well, like I started off in 1964, the year before Medicare, when I became a nurse's aide at the hospital. So after following my husband Jerry for 22 years in the Army, I came back. And so in 1986, we moved to Northern Virginia, and I got a job as a practice manager for family practice. We moved to Tennessee after 9/11. And I told Jerry, I said, I have to get my CPC. He said, what's that? Well, Jackie Rasmussen, I think it was Jackie Rasmussen that had done a thing. And she, on her last slide, she mentioned AAPC. Well, I've never heard of AAPC before. This was like 2001. So I said, well, I got to go get it. Well, then I went through the course, and my mentor, she said, you'll be an instructor. I said, you get me through this course and I'm fine. I don't need. Well, the next year, 2005, I'm in Salt Lake City at my first HealthCon, taking the instructor course, the PMCC course, and been going ever since. So you don't stop. You just get on a track and you just keep on going. And it's continual education, and I can't stress it enough. And HealthCon for me, because I saw these people running around. Then there was people in purple shirts, and I thought, well, what are they doing? So my curiosity got the best of me, and then I got on the board in 2013. So here Marty had me for 3 years. Poor thing. It's a wonder she don't have a wig on and different hair color. But I'm telling you, and if you sit back as a member, and I've seen some things, well, what is AAPC doing for me? Why is it to do so high? What are they getting out of it? Till you go to HealthCon or these regionals, and you sit and you look at what everybody's doing, the work, the background work is phenomenal. And Jackie can speak to it better than anybody here, and Marty. They've been around. And I can't stress it enough. If you sit back, you're losing.
Okay,
So-
I want to jump in. Can I jump in really fast?
Sure.
Please.
Everything that y'all have been saying is amen to all of it. And I think any person can do anything they want if they really want to do it.
Mhm.
And it all comes from within. The thing about AAPC is that we have all these tools, and the networking is the most wonderful tool that we have. I mean, just look at this, the wealth of information and knowledge that we have here today. But we do have, we don't want to forget to say something about our local chapters. If somebody really wants to take their profession to the next level, it's all about what comes from the inside. Are you excited about it? Do you grab onto it and do you take it and run? make sure that you go up and meet your chapter officers, go find out what's happening, get involved, listen to things like this, hook up with Linda or Sharon or Jackie, give Heather a call. She's looking for somebody that can help. So, I mean, the opportunities are endless. And that's what is so great about AAPC. I just think that's why it's so fun, because you get to know so many people and it's all in here. It's in your head. You can do it. You can do it. You can
And
do
the
it.
friendships you make, like you mentioned, Marty, the friendships you make is just phenomenal. I can pick up the phone and I can call Linda. She does cardiology also. I said, hey, look at this for me. Or anybody. And this is where you get to connect through the local chapters, through your what AAPC has to offer. Get it out there. And I got to tell it a little funny, and then I'll try to shut up for the rest of the time and let somebody else talk.
Please
So I
don't.
went out, Linda, and through the local chapter, Linda called and asked me to come to Dallas to dissect the heart. Remember that, Linda?
I do.
So,
80,
and so
80,
she says,
80 pig hearts.
and we closed a couple of restaurants, not with drinks, but with food and, whatever. And we talked all night long. When she was taking me to the airport, she said, I'd really never met you before. And I was really wondering, what was I going to talk to you about for 2 days? She said, and we haven't shut up yet. It's just a connect. You remember that, Linda?
I do remember.
She said, I was so scared of what I was going to do with you. So the friendships and networking, I mean, I can't say enough.
Hey, just going back to Brenda and the what's the next credential? One thing that I've noticed from the members I've interviewed is that oftentimes that next credential finds you, that specialty finds you from what you're doing in your office, or maybe from a connection that you've made, and maybe Sharon calls you and says, hey, I know someone who needs this specialty. I think you'd be great at it. So there are all kinds of possibilities. That's not to say that some people just might find a specialty or that next credential fascinating and just an area of interest, but yeah, more often than not, it finds you. Okay, we don't have enough time for all of you. I mean, I want to, we could talk for 2 hours, guys, but I want to talk about our 35th anniversary. And really, to start, I want you guys to think about what your first interaction with AAPC was. When did you first learn about the organization? And for me, I just applied for jobs. I'd never heard anything about, well, I didn't know anything about medical coding or anything. And I remember driving up for the interview and seeing the old logo AAPC on Office Space. But I liken it to, because I grew up in a small family. We didn't have a lot of little ones, cousins, all that. We didn't have a lot of little ones to run around. So when my wife and I had kids of our own, the whole baby thing is like, oh my goodness, this is like a whole new world I never knew about, with Wiggles and Barneys and all that stuff. And that's what medical coding was for me. Like, wow, there's this huge community. And so I'm going to start with Heather. Heather, how long have you been a member for? And what was your first interaction with AAPC?
So I've known about AAPC. So I am dual credentialed with another organization as well. And my first credential, by the way, was the CPMA. And so everything that they're saying is exactly that. I got the credential that I needed for the job that I was doing. And that was helpful. And then I did go back and get my CPC, but I'm on the inpatient side by the time I found out about AAPC. So when I took the CPC, it was secondary to the CPMA. I really needed to be able to do that auditing portion. I had already moved to that point in my career. So, but I can remember when I understood the conferences and their value, because I have been to several conferences put on, very good conferences put on by national organizations across the healthcare spectrum, wherever you want to look at that. And it was a regional, no, yeah, it was a regional in Nashville. I think it was 2011 or 12. Don't quote me, but somewhere in there, Nashville. And I was awestruck. I could not believe the difference in the education, the caliber, what was happening. It was jam-packed. You moved, you went, and and you were coming out. And I had notes because of everything that I have learned. And I have yet to leave one of those conferences without notes and have learning something new. And so the caliber for me was huge. So it's kind of like what you're saying. It's like this kind of, oh, I didn't know this existed. Even though I was in the field, I did not know that this measure of heart, I guess is the best word that I can say for its members, was really out there and available. And that, I mean, people dug in. You saw everybody taking notes, or you saw them, on their computers typing up their notes and stuff like that. So it was very, very impressive to me. As a member, sometimes I have tried to understand, or not necessarily understood, why things happened. It ebbs and flows, just like I'm sure every member deals with. But it always turned out for the good, and things went well. And again, like I said, now that I'm on the inside of it and I'm seeing all of the process for decisions that are being made, they're well thought out. They're working through this stuff, and there's not a person here who doesn't care. And so you can't, when you have that, it will come out, though it's going to come out okay, because that's just the way it works. Sorry,
So,
I'm
no,
on that soapbox again.
So Heather, you were coding prior to AAPC membership, so it kind of, you had just been aware of the organization.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to read this from Natasha Timberlake, because I know many viewers may come from this background, but Natasha says, I come from a family of coders, not dancers, Marty. She says her mom was a coder before retiring last year, and my sister is a coder. I remember her coding while I was in high school. So she, has that background. She had probably seen AAPC newsletters lying around the coffee table or something like that as she's growing up. Linda, so you talked about that first AAPCCA board. Tell us a little bit about your first interaction with AAPC, and give us some insight about that first board, how it came to pass, and how you found yourself a part of that.
Thanks. I'm very excited. It's challenged me to think back, and I made some notes over the last few nights thinking about this. But I actually, when I started taking classes, my instructors challenged me to get involved in the local chapter and to start going to meetings. So I started going to meetings as a student in 2003. And I was very fortunate to be in a chapter that was very focused on education. Their chapter meetings did some phenomenal education. When we had our annual conference, we had breakout sessions in our annual conference. I mean, this group was really focused on it. I became an officer within 2 years. And again, this chapter was so focused that they would send their officers to national conference. They'd pay the registration. So my first conference was actually in 2006, I believe it was, in St. Louis. I remember it was St. Louis. It was 2005, 2006. Jackie, does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just blown away. And I say that because there was a storm going on too. We all had to huddle down where this tornado blew through. But I was just blown away with the education and the excitement and the camaraderie. Here I was, this little newbie, and people were coming up and talking and networking. And at that time, we had the get to know your local chapter. Marty, remember when we would do our posters and our displays, and we'd go around and visit the other chapters and get ideas. And as a new officer, that was so exciting and thrilling to me. And I just found everybody so approachable. Jackie, I may have stumbled into you there and not known it, but people were so open to that. the AAPC went through a transition in 2003, I think it was, and new leadership and organization was brought on board. And that leadership recognized that we really, the local chapters were the heart of the AAPC. Please, nobody take offense at anything outside of that. But and that's what also set us apart from other organizations. Heather, you mentioned being part of another organization, and I think that's what really makes AAPC unique, is the 500 local chapters where you can network and meet frequently and learn. And so the leadership recognized that and decided to pull together leaders from across the country to start giving some national focus on the local chapters. We had the NAB that focused on members and giving advice to the organization, but the local chapters needed some cohesiveness. Things were kind of different, and so that was I think the impetus was to bring some support to the local chapters, the officers, and also some continuity, or some, I hesitate to say standardization, but so that we didn't all have to recreate the wheel, for instance. One of my challenges was working on the handbook, the local chapter handbook, which had gone through several iterations. And boy, Marty, you remember those calls, dissecting that line by line and trying to bring it up to speed? That was one of the projects when I was on the board, first of all. And so that was a real exciting, and I know that goes on now, but boy, just that first take at it was quite a challenge. So I was on that board for 3-4 years and got to meet people and that I still am, friends with. And it was just a phenomenal experience. If I can label myself as an old timer and kind of walk back a little bit, back in 2004, 2005, when you went to a chapter meeting, you signed in on an attendance sheet. No scanning QR codes or anything like that. We had to fax those in to the AAPC to advise them of our members and who was there. We had to do minutes. There was a real, I think one of the things I've seen is a rocket level change in technology that the AAPC utilizes. And it's just, that was a definite gap back at that point. And boy, AAPC jumped on that. The NAB worked with the organization, and to be able to use online resources to connect oh gosh, I forget what they called them, Marty, what were the posting boards instead of Facebook groups we had where we
the forums.
Thank you. That was a huge advance. So I really have to applaud the growth and the way that AAP has kept up with technology. I say that, I guess, as AAPC is in the midst of a big upgrade, so their technology, but that was one of the things that I really noticed. And it just allowed us to collaborate with different chapters and network. And then that's carried on through the pandemic, the last 3 years, with going virtual with our meetings. I mean, I think maybe I missed one chapter meeting, 2 maybe, before we went virtual. So and since that, I've been blessed to be able to speak to local chapters across the country, because I can do WebExes and things, Zoom meetings with local chapters. So it's been very exciting. A lot of change.
Love it. Thank you, Linda, for sharing that. Now, Sharon, I'm going to you, but I want to get to Marty, Jackie as well. We've got about 10 minutes. I think we're going to go over a little bit, but Sharon, would you just give us a brief overview of how you first came in contact with AAPC?
Well, like I said, I had gone to the OBGYN conference, and it was on the screen, and because the cause and effect. So because Jerry decided to retire, I said, well, I've got to get my CPC. And I'd already been in the field straight on from 86 to 2001, 2002. And I said, well, I'm still going to work when we move to Tennessee, but they need to know I know what I'm talking about when I get there. So I did it and studied like a dog. I mean, constantly, because it's a lot of work. And even though I was in the field, you still so much more. I'll be honest with you. I worked all these years and I didn't know there was guidelines in the ICD-9 until I took the course. I never read them. I was just going off the hip and doing and looking in the tabular. So there's so much, even though we've been doing it for a long time, there's still more for us to learn and how to utilize the resources. So I came down here to Johnson City and went on a job interview and got a $3 an hour pay raise. And went from just a regular coder to a senior coder on the interview. And that's what that's what the CPC did for me to start off with. And then I became a teacher, an instructor. And I'm telling you, I've got over 3,000 students under my belt over these 18, 19 years now. And I'm loving it. And I'm a VILT instructor now and have been since almost its inception. And seeing the light bulbs go off, the clicking of the light type of thing is like, it's like food for me. And if you're in any of my classes, that's how I teach, is by food. Like Oreo cookies is the vertebra, Oreo cookies. So the white mesh is the disc, and then the chocolate wafer is the vertebra itself. So the spine. You know, for me, bone density is a sour cream pound cake that shows a dense bone. And then angel food cake shows osteoporosis type of thing. So I'm a little different.
Okay, awesome.
That's
Well,
my 30.
We love you the way you are.
hey, Craig Larson says you need to get biscuits and gravy in there.
Exactly. And I was going to
Right.
say, Craig, so that's plaque in the arteries is busy.
That's
Okay,
right.
there you go.
French fries.
Craig, he's crazy.
Jackie, how about yourself?
So I came to AAPC in the early 90s. I was working at the University of Virginia, and there was a small group of us. We got the magazine, and we had a very good mentor at the time who was associated with the HEMA, and she was learning a lot about AAPC, pulled us together. 12 of us studied with her for like a month, like for 5 hours, and set for our exam. Then we got the magazine and it said you could start a chapter, you need some officers, and it was 4 of us. And we're like, okay, that's all you need. Let's have an officer. And we started the chapter in Charlottesville, Virginia. And then I moved back to Richmond, Virginia, and started a chapter there. And like Marty says, it's the chapters, it's everything, because that's how we started to meet people. And we started speaking at our chapter meeting and learning about it and bringing in people. And I will say, as AAPC has evolved, I think one of the biggest things that they have evolved with and through is when AAP started, it was a great idea by an entrepreneur who really didn't know a lot about this field. He just knew it'd be a smart thing to do. And each time we had new leadership, they knew a little bit more. But I can say right now, the entire leadership really understands what we do. And I think we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Bevan really understands what it is. And those that follow, come like Ray, the Rays of the world that are there, they understand what we do. So I just feel like we now have leadership that gets it. And it makes it much easier to have conversations with them. And it's on the advisory board. Yeah.
That expertise has elevated who
It
we
has.
are with AMA and
Right.
CMS
We
and
have
all of these.
that now.
Yeah.
We have those
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah.
So I think that's just been amazing. And again, my past, I grasped onto anything that I could. So local chapters to advisory board. Now I'm still on committees, speaking at conferences, because it's that connection, that networking, and allows me that opportunity like this to share what I've done for those who are looking to move ahead as well. Because I've been at it since, I don't know, early 90s. So I missed the beginning of AAPC, but early 90s I came on, and I've just held on to the reins and run with it all the way. And I've been with Marty ever since.
And I'm just
Marty.
sorry, I didn't hear about it earlier. I mean, I feel like I've missed out on so much.
Marty, tell us about how you, I mean, because you and I, we are support staff to all of these great professionals. Tell us a little bit about how you found yourself at AAPC.
I was selling advertising for a parenting magazine, and I had a friend who was involved with the entrepreneur that said, hey, come and work for us. And so that's how I bumped into it. And Linda said so beautifully about the evolution of the chapters. Everything was manual in the beginning. Mine, it's so much more sophisticated. It's easier to be an officer. Jackie really said what I wanted to say, which is the leadership gets it. It's so different than it used to be. It's wonderful. There are people that know what are going on, and they really do care. And we sit in these meetings and they talk about what's important, and they're really looking for what is the best thing to do for the membership in the way that the space is right now and the industry. And so Sharon, when you talk about missing out, I think whenever anybody steps in, I think really, it's like I said before, and like I think what you said, Heather, there's something for everyone. If you've got to have the heart to get in and go for it. Take charge of your life. It's up to you to take charge of your life, and you can find it at AAPC, because the people are what, I mean, my mom used to say the funniest thing. She said, people are the only thing that really matter, because if all the people were dead, what fun is it going to be to be all alone? Who are you going to go to the show, the movie with? Who are you going to eat with? What are you going to do for fun? It's the people of AAPC that just makes it the best. And yeah, that's, I can't say it any better than what's been said.
Yeah, and
lady,
when you call, you're the most important person. When you call AAPC, whoever answers that phone, you're the most important person.
Yep. And if you're not, you need to let us know, because that's the way we want it to be, right?
Lady Martinez in the comments says, I pivoted to healthcare after being a delivery driver. Honestly, it was the best decision, or it has been the best decision I've made in my life. I love what I do and don't see myself doing anything else. Love the AAPC family. And it's those kind of stories that remind us that we're, what our cause is and what the good things the organization and the membership does for each other. All right. Hey, we've got 1 minute left, but I want to share a few things that Rhonda Buckholt sent me, these little tidbits. She says in 2014, AAPC was published in the Federal Register, and that is the official journal of the government. And she says they shared a survey that we did, and it contributed to no more delays in implementation.
Remember that.
So that was a big milestone. CMS, she sent me CMS named us as a training partner for I-10 by passing their own cooperating parties. And they did a code-a-thon with us. So relationships building, reputations building, but that's not because of AAPC, any one person at AAPC, is because of this great network of, or this community of reputable professionals.
And the professionalism, Alex, I got to say, the professionalism, I think, is what really attracts a lot of people and facilitates those relationships.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And we really encourage that to students and newly certified members in the group, just to elevate that professionalism. We've talked about that a lot over the last year. But a few years back, Ray was appointed to the AMA CPT panel, which is a big deal. And it gives AAPC a voice there. Jackie, do you know much about that?
Well, she is able to sit at the table, so to speak, when edits are being considered. So she can bring to the table a thought process on behalf of this part of the industry, the business side, not just the clinical piece of the necessity of that change, but how is it really going to be applied? So it's a huge accomplishment to be at the table for the editorial board, editorial
Awesome.
panel.
Awesome.
And
Yeah,
can
sure.
a small interjection here, the hardship fund, how we support our own members to help them through their hardships and all, and for dollar for dollar, whatever anybody puts into the hardship fund goes straight back to a member, not through an organization to spread it out. It goes back to the individual that is in need. And so the hardship fund shows the heart of AAPC and how it cares about its members and how everyone is doing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, absolutely. You guys, thank you so much for sharing your stories. Jackie, Sharon, Linda, Heather, who thanks for being flexible and staying on the whole time. Is great to hear your story and learning more about you and what you do at AAPC. And Marty, as always, great to have you on. Stick with me just for a minute, panel. For everybody watching, you guys have a great week. Have a happy and safe 4th of July if you're in the States. I hope you have a great time. Hopefully it's not too hot, and I hope you get to spend some time with your family and friends. We will be back in 2 weeks. Don't forget about the compliance conference, and we got DocuCon coming up. And there's another one. Jackie, when's the one in
Washington.
AuditCon in
AuditCon.
November, and then of course the regional
In
in
DC.
beginning of August.
Yes. So I'll be in DC. Jackie, Sharon, I thought you said you guys will be
I'll
there.
be there.
Linda, will you be in DC?
No,
Okay. We'll see you in Las Vegas then. Okay.
We'll
All
talk
right.
about her.
Yeah.
Good things.
Yeah, I need some Linda stories. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about her.
All right. And for those watching, just a reminder, you can view this on our Facebook page. It will live there. I'll also get it posted on our YouTube channel and podcast in the coming days. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye everybody.
Bye.
bye.
Bye.